Good afternoon, good evening, and good morning from wherever you are, and welcome to our review of Werewolf by Night. Arr,
Ow!
arr. There you go. That's all you're getting from us. It's Sunday. I'm on painkillers, so that is as animated as I'm gonna get. Joining me are Cheeto and Sam. Hello, guys. Hope you're well. Don't really care. Let's get on with it. So, Werewolf by Night, a Halloween special that really did actually come out of nowhere from Marvel Studios. It was announced, I think it was at D23. Am I correct?
Mm-hmm.
It came out at D23. There was absolutely no talk of it beforehand, no hints, no nothing. And when the trailer first dropped, I was just like, wow, yes, please, because I'm a huge fan of the old 1930s cinema noir, 40s cinema noir, and the Universal Monster stuff in all its campy, awesome glory. And
Mm-hmm.
so this, seeing this was going to be an homage, had me very, very intrigued. And so it premiered this Friday, and it did not disappoint. In fact, it exceeded expectations and has generally been received as very positive. Before I move on and talk about it, I obviously loved it. Cheeto, what were your thoughts?
Gore Galore, baby. I knew Ginger would be happy. And Zam. No, I thought it was pretty good. Not really my. I'm not trying to shit on it. Not really my cup of tea, but it was still pretty good for what it was. As I said, or as you said, Ginger, you're more of a fan of those 20s and 30s like monster movies, and I thought it did a great job at portraying that. It did keep me engaged. There were some interesting moments with Elsa Bloodstone that I was kind of surprised about, where I felt she acted out of character, but I don't know her as well in the comics as so you either. I mean, maybe you do, Ginger, but yeah,
well,
I thought it was.
I mean, this was like okay, like apart from like one or two little Disneyisms sprinkled in there, in the comics, she's pretty much like your, kind of atypical like American. Like, I'm gonna do it my way. I'm gonna be all cool and blah, 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 I play by my own rules, kind of thing. So she wasn't that far removed from how she is in the comics, to be
I just
honest.
no, I felt like her cowering in the cage and crying. I thought I just never took Elsa Blood, and as I said, I don't have a ton of experience with her, but from what I've seen, she never seems to be a person that. And I know they were trying to invoke the horror aspect of, of the 20s and 30s at this point, but I felt like it was a
30s
step
and
out,
40s,
huh?
30s and
30s and
40s.
sorry, 30s and 40s. My bad.
Mm.
But I think they kind of took her out of her character to invoke that, in my opinion. But
I 100% agree on that.
so, but that
Like
was
that,
really the only part that I
yeah,
was like, really, like, is this really how we're doing this? Like,
yeah.
I didn't like it, that part. Other than that, I thought it did a great job at portraying what it was trying to portray, an homage to the old school monster movies, and they did it with the Disney flair because we had some CGI man thing in there, so that was cool.
Yeah, Zam.
Um, Thinking about this film overnight and stuff like that, I did like it. Like I did mention to you guys earlier that I was okay with it, but I did like it. Like it had definitely some of that Bela Lugosi sort of horror elements from the 30s and 40s, and it also had the Hammer horrors elements as well, which I very much appreciated too. And
Yeah, in terms of
it
the
was
violence, yeah.
it was good, but some of me can't help but think, okay, this is like maybe Disney compromising on horror and violence and blood and guts by making it all black and white and stuff like that. And it's very hard for me not to think that's why they did it that way. Whether they will push this type of element any further will be interesting, because there were still Disney moments in this. You know, when Mansing and Werewolf Guy met each other when he was still in human form, that felt very Disney-ish. And, hey, buddy, how you doing?
Yeah, 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 yeah,
You know what I mean, all that sort
yeah.
of stuff, and even the ending as well when the things get into color and stuff like that. So yeah, it's it was different, definitely, and I appreciate different, and I liked it. I think this should have been a proper film instead of like a 1 hour thing. I think they could have made it a bit more intriguing, with maybe a bit more plot to all of it all. If they made it maybe 1 hour 20 minutes, maybe.
I don't know.
But
I disagree with that. I really feel like this got its point across, and it was perfectly timed for what they wanted to do with it. If they would have made it more of a theatrical thing, even adding 20 more minutes to it, because I think it was what 54, 55 minutes with credits. So I felt like they got their point across, and it was a special, and hopefully this is kind of what we're going to get with the Guardian. And I know Ginger, you're super excited for this, the Guardians
Oh
Holiday
my god,
Christmas
can't wait.
special. But I mean, I don't want it to be this super in like this super movie. I want it to be a special feature that is kind of outside the norm. That is, as I said, this did what I wanted it to do. It kind of gave me vibes from a different genre, with a Marvel skin.
If I could just like say like what I wanted maybe was just to get to know some of the other side characters a little bit more, because you kind of realize, okay, this is mainly about that chick, and we're focusing on her and the dude. We're focusing on them, and some of the other like side characters kind of felt like window dressing when we really should have been more of a guessing game on who's going to survive all of this and who's going to be the final person, which is why I needed more time, introduce maybe especially at the beginning, like the additional footage and time would be at the beginning of this saga where we get to know everyone in that room, and like some sort of Tarantino moments with the dialogue, when they're talking to each other and stuff like that before shit hits the fan, which is what happens in Tarantino films. So something along those lines was really what I wanted.
Yeah, I mean that's a kind of fair critique. Like the hunters kind of felt like a bit of a throwaway,
Yeah.
which it was a shame because they were quite interesting. But I take nothing else away from it. That is like that's my like main critique would be that. But on a personal note, yeah, I absolutely love this. I was just watching this like a kid watching Star Wars for the first time. The cinematography was just phenomenal. The homage it gave to cinema noir and to the Universal monsters was perfect. It also did great single shot cameras, even in action scenes, which you got a better hallway scene in this than you did with Daredevil and She Hulk. Okay, single shot take, very reminiscent of the era rather than this constant like chopping and changing and all this kind of stuff. Static camera kind of action, the way it was focusing in on faces. And my other little critique as well is Man Thing felt a little bit softened up. Again, Disney thing, they don't want to make their monsters too monstery, even though he melts a guy's fucking head.
Mm-hmm.
But I love this. I'm always somebody who will champion something original and something completely different from the norm. We can all agree that Phase 4 is been very cut and paste. And so this just coming out and being what it is and the reception it's received just proves how much people are clamoring for original content. That being said, I'll briefly go through it.
Before you do that, do we want to jump
Yeah.
into? There's a couple comments here from Daniel
Yeah,
Vance.
please do.
Yeah, yes.
Okay, so
Jovan.
Jovan Kirk R. Thatcher was a producer for the punk on the bus for Star Trek 4, and did special effects for Star Trek
Oh, yeah.
6. So is that
Star Wars 6 or Star Trek 6?
or
It must
Star
be
Wars
Star
6?
Trek. It might be a typo. Or
Maybe.
No, I think you might. I think you might have meant that because anyway.
Okay. Interesting.
The guy on the bus, is that the bearded guy, the one that was
Yeah. Jovan is the bearded Scottish guy.
No, that guy, no, but in Werewolf so is he was a producer on this, or was he actually in this?
He was in it.
Oh, okay. So I think he was
Oh,
probably
I thought I recognized him.
I did too.
Yeah.
That's what I'm like, I thought I've seen him somewhere. The presentation of Ulysses body reminded me of Disney's Hall of Presidents, which, I mean, we all know that all dead presidents go to Disney's Hall of Presidents, and that's actually their reanimated bodies right there. So we all know that.
Oh, nice. Okay, good to know. Yes. Oh,
And Man Thing being practical effects and not CGI was brilliant. Even the claymation shadow transformation was perfect. Was he practical? I thought he was all
Man
CGI.
Thing was impractical. He was CGI.
Unless he's being facetious.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
All right, so go ahead, Ginger.
All right, so we start off at the Ulysses manor where people gather to fight for the right to own the Bloodstone. Ulysses Bloodstone is pretty much like the I can't believe I've forgotten his name, but the guy that gets hit by or empowered by a meteorite in the DC universe
Oh,
and
Vandal
is
Savage.
Vandal
Thank
Savage.
you, thank you. So Ulysses Bloodstone, kind of similar to Vandal Savage in that he is embedded with an alien gemstone that grants him very, very slow aging and heightened powers and rapid healing, and this kind of urge to kind of hunt monsters and all this kind of stuff. And he's dead, obviously, and so a new group of hunters are in the mansion, and Ulysses' widow, who is an homage to one of the characters from the Werewolf of the Universal Monsters, the widow in that. So I thought that was quite cute. And Elsa kind of joins the pack, even though she's not welcome there, because her relationship with her father is rather fractured, which again is pretty much what happened in the comics as well. She kind of felt like he trained her almost to like an abusive level. But again, here you have a great little backstory. You already know that she's not like the Mary Sue that you get. She's like hardcore trained by her old man. So you know, coming into this, she's going to give as good as she gets, kind of thing. And yeah, that there's that conflict between the stepmother and her, and of course we get the character of Jack Russell.
Oh
I
my
mean,
god.
yeah,
Jack.
the Jack Russell, who of course we know who he's going to be, and so they draw straws basically, and they're off into the maze. I did feel that bit kind of just. This is the bit where they should have built on the kind of characters and all of that. But nonetheless, we get it. They get their kill count kind of revealed as well, and you see like the scrawny little Jack Russell with like over 100 people. How they're able to confirm that, given he is what he is, and they don't know what he is, I also found a little bit strange. But anyway, we're off into the mazes, and we have our. Oh, fuck! What happened? Was it a fight? Just breaks out straight away with Elsa, or do they meet in the mansion with Jack and they go their separate ways?
Well,
No, they
Jack and Elsa, they see each other and they go, "No, we don't have to do anything. We just walk past each other."
yeah.
And
He definitely did
but
not want to fight.
Yeah,
but then like the Asian dude, the Chinese looking dude, I think he was the first one to fight with the arrow on his arm and stuff like that. He got fucked
no,
up pretty
I think she
severely.
fought Jovian first and then fought the Asian
Oh yeah,
guy
yeah. But she never
because she
killed
gets
him.
his axe.
She gets his axe. Yeah, which was
Yeah, so yeah, that's it. So we get a kind of look at her abilities, her fighting skills. She
Black
gets
Widowish.
Black Widowish, yeah, very very kind of similar training style. She gets slapped about a bit and then just comes back, knocks the guy out, and he, like grabs the axe and runs off. And then she faces the Asian dude, and that was a great fight. That was a brilliant fight, and the way he kind of dies, he gets the arrow to the thing, and then he's being gagged, so he's slowly choking to death while she's hiding from the other guy. I thought it was just brilliant. That was very kind of Tarantino-esque. And yeah, that was very cool. So what are you guys' thoughts, Cheeto, up until that point so far?
I mean, I thought it was great. I thought as you were saying about like her hiding and then holding the hand over his mouth and he's sitting there choking on his own blood, and I'm like, all right, yeah, like this, this is what I'm like. This is kind of what people want. I mean, by something like this. I mean, yeah, they get away with the black and white because of the theme and everything like that. So, I mean, good for them for going there. I mean, Werewolf by Night is something I don't want them to hold their punches on, just like Deadpool, just like I don't know, Wolverine. Like these are things that I don't want them to hold their punches on. And if this is kind of like a little bit of a halfway point where we're starting to see a little bit more violence in Disney and the Disney products that Marvel products that Disney produces, I'm happy because I want them to do right by the characters. I'm not as uber violent. Like, I don't love violence, but you have characters that are violent, like you have to have those characters and you have to portray them correctly. So I thought so far everything's kind of been good. I actually like the whole cat and mouse thing. It kind of reminded me of Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, which is one of my favorite Harry Potter movies. So I kind of thought that was a lot of fun, and the cat and mouse and all that. So yeah, I thought it was good so far.
Great, Zam. Before I go on to you, buddy, I'm gonna just read some comments. Okay, so apparently Man Thing was practical. It looked very CGI.
Yeah, it looked very CGI.
Very CGI.
Maybe with gloss of CGI on it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Thought it was amazing Hammer homage. Yes, absolutely. Man Thing, not to be confused. Okay, moving swiftly on. I love the beginning, but was great. That was great. I'm supposed you say. We'll come on to the ratings later, you fucking idiot. We haven't finished the review.
Yeah, I put a poll up, you guys. Just hit the click on the poll over there, and then we'll talk about it later, motherfucker.
And then go smoke a poll afterwards. Jack in a Maze, Shining homage. Yes, very
and then
true. Yeah.
there's the
and then there's that cryptic A. Love the female hunter. Thought her and Gal chemistry was great. Yes, so we're moving on to that. So they obviously end up locked in a tomb.
I never got a chance to add.
Oh shit! Sorry, Sam. Sam, go right ahead.
Just at the very beginning, it was really good to see like the Bloodstone initially being red and everything else being black and white. Kind of gave me Sin City vibes. Seeing all of that, and it just made me think: is the Bloodstone like the 7th unofficial Infinity Stone? Because
no. It's
I know, but it made me think.
It gave you the vibe. Sorry, but
yeah, it gave me the vibes. Like it's all magical and powerful and stuff like that. And I never really knew that. Okay, once they do what they do, they were going to kill each other until they started killing each other. I never really knew that was the case. But I would have liked when what's her face got the Chinese dude. I would have liked to just maybe grab his nose and maybe suffocate him whilst he's got the fucking thing in his mouth, just to add that extra layer of all right, we're definitely doing this. You know what I mean? Because she was more gagging him than trying to kill him, even though she should be trying to kill him, considering everyone tried to kill each other in this world. But yeah, it kind of set the tone to things. But once again, when the guy got his arm chopped off and the blood spluttered out, it just made me realize, yeah, this is why Disney are doing this in black and white. I mean, they're trying to basically be very clever, but at the same time, you know what they're doing at the same time.
Of course.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
Cool.
But I mean, I'm all for them getting more. It's like getting in a cold pool. Let them get adjusted in their own way as long as they get in the pool of blood, and do it.
Deadpool.
Or Deadpool. There we go. Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so they get locked in the tomb, and she's bleeding, and like Jack kind of helps her adjust it to make it right, so she doesn't just carry on bleeding and blah blah blah. And we have a nice back and forth between them. Very good chemistry. I mean, Gail Garcia is a fucking great actor anyway. And just when all hope is lost, she magically remembers about her. I think it's her great aunt or something like that, and is in that tomb. So she smashes the tomb, and there happens to be a set of keys in there, conveniently enough.
Actually, I thought this was interesting because I thought maybe she was holding off on revealing that. Maybe she was waiting for her opening to kill him, and then when she realized he really didn't want to fight, then she was okay with getting the keys out and doing that.
Possibly, yeah.
That's how I took it, but I mean, also it could be just she magically remembered.
Yeah.
Either or.
Yeah. So then they did they get out and then he bumped into Man Thing in
No, he already had bumped into Man Thing.
He'd already bumped into him. Oh yeah. So anyway, rewind quickly. So yeah, he bumped into Man Thing. Then it's revealed that he's there to actually get him out, and they're friends. And then he kind of explains to Elsa, look, if you meet him, just call him by his name, and you should be all right. And just tell him, you're not here to kind of harm him.
Ted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they get out, they break out the tomb, and I think Jovian is there waiting for them, and Man Thing appears and just kind of fucking grabs him and melts his head. And
Fatality.
yeah, fatality. While he runs off to, Jack runs off to blow up the wall. So quite quickly off the bat, Man Thing is just gone. He kind of escapes. Elsa grabs the bloodstone from the back of him, which was placed on him to kind of weaken him, and whoever kills the monster can obviously claim the stone as well. And with the stone is on the floor, Jack goes to grab it, and ooh, shock! It attacks him because it attacks monsters. That's what it's there for. And it's kind of revealed. And so we get to a scene where which kind of threw me because I thought this was kind of would have been set more in the past kind of thing. But then you get like the armored up blokes that come in with all their modern weaponry. And they cage Elsa
Was it
and they
damage
cage.
control?
Uh,
Was
I don't think so. I think it was just private security.
No, those are Queen Arachnia from Star Trek Voyagers. That's Queen Arachnia's troops. That's the vibes I got from her. From the what was it, the stepmom? Like that's what I got from her was the Queen Arachnia vibe. Kate Mulgrew in black and white. And
this was like my initial one of my problems with this was the fact of the monster. Initially, it was this Cthulhu-looking thing running around, and I really was expecting them to be doing some werewolf hunting because Werewolf by Night. That's the sort of idea I got from all of this. They're going to be hunting a werewolf, but that came obviously later on, and so it kind of threw me that we didn't get what I was expecting us to get, so to speak.
Yeah, because they sorry, go on. I'll let you finish.
No, go on.
I was just saying, yeah. So that's what we all thought initially, that they're going to hunt the werewolf, but it turns out to be Man Thing, and they didn't even know that they had, subverting expectations, which is not a bad thing. And instead we get that hunt, which was over very quickly, and we move on to the second part, which was really cool. So they've obviously caged Jack, knowing that he's a kind of animal, and they stick Elsa in there, and he's like, he transforms him into the werewolf, and he can kill you. So we get this whole beautiful pantomime moment, and then we get this beautiful. What I loved is when they shine the bloodstone onto Jack, and it fires off those kind of white electric. It's such a great homage to the era, which that it looked hand drawn, like electric kind of shock waves and all this kind of stuff. And Elsa does a fantastic tribute to like the women of that era, that kind of that face of like fear and the camera panning in, which is very out of character, but it was still beautifully done. So I kind of let it slide. And then we get the werewolf, and the massive hunt begins. But before that, anyone want to chime in? Zam, I'll go to you.
I just want to mention. I forgot to mention what was the name of Elsa's father? What was his name again?
Ulysses.
Like
Ulysses
I forgot
Bloodstone.
to mention, like just seeing him in corpse puppet form at the beginning was fucking brilliant. By the way, I wish I mentioned that earlier, and how like he left his last words, to is like making a test for all these people to get this particular bloodstone that everybody wants. I very much appreciated that, and you did feel like his spirit was still around and stuff like that. And those sort of moments for me were far more interesting than when it all started becoming more like the mystery of it, and maybe like solving a like a riddle and stuff like that, like a murder mystery almost. That would have been a nice way to go as well. Obviously with some macabre scenes and stuff like that. But yeah, I did like all of that, and seeing him now in the cage and then having to sniff up what's her face,
Yeah, that was.
Super up to remember her. God damn, my memory.
Yeah,
when he did that, I started rolling. I'm just like, I knew exactly what he was doing. He's like, I have to remember you, and he's like, she's like, does it work? He's like, once.
that actress, she's a British actress. Yeah, she's not putting on a British accent.
I think she's a British actress. Yeah,
she looks a lot like the actress who played Jessica Jones. They look very similar.
She looks similar to Kristen Ritter, but it's not.
Yeah.
Yeah, Cheeto.
We're just talking about the build up to
Just to build up to
the
when we get
werewolf.
just before the transformation. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I already kind of said my gripe with this part was just like the Elsa Bloodstone character, just and as you said, Ginger, it was a nice homage to that era of what the female co-star always like getting freaked out and scared and everything like that. So it was a nice homage. I really wish they would have found a different way to do it with Elsa, like not with Elsa. Maybe they put him in there just with some other female that they had captive or something like that. I don't know.
They could have saved that bit to the end with the what was her fucking name, Verusa. They could have done it with her.
Queen Arachnia, you mean?
Yeah, with Queen Arachnia, she could have done the homage, but I think because of the era of using like young women and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And also, Sam, to answer your question, she's from Northern Ireland,
British, yeah.
So British, yeah.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I mean, I like that. I like the. Have we gotten to the hunt, like where he busts out of the cage and all that? I mean, or
you could just take the reins from that, yeah, because you'll remember more than I do.
I thought that was very well executed. I thought him hiding in the shadows gave me like an Arkham vibe, but at the same time was just using the black and white. Like it was just so very well done. I really appreciated how they did this whole sequence of him taking the guards out. The guards did kind of take me out of it a little bit. I mean, I didn't want like knights with swords or anything like that showing up there, but at the same time, like we can definitely tell this is a modern tale, because as Dan was saying, is that damage control? Like, I mean, damage control is in like everything Marvel right now. They're the new Shield, pretty much. They're just in everything. But I really thought that like that hunt scene, because they were there to be red shirts. I mean, or gray shirts in black and white. So I mean, I really did appreciate it though. They did a good job with that part.
Yeah, Sam.
Well, once shit started kicking off and you got a werewolf running around, the last thing you need to do is be fighting each other, which is what the other hunters were doing. So I found that a bit weird. I mean, surely you want to be like focusing as a team to stop that fucking werewolf from killing us all. But regardless of that, it was nice seeing him initially with that. It reminded me of that scene from Batman versus Superman where Batman's just hiding in the corner as the police officer is moving his torch, and then he sees Batman, and then you see the same with the werewolf, sticking to the walls and stuff like that, ready to pounce and start fucking ripping everyone to shreds. And yeah, and even the werewolf look itself was that classic, Hammer horror werewolf. Nowadays, like werewolf characters are like fully CGI'd and stuff like that. Like they're
fully lichen looking. Whereas this one, they're kind of stuck to his comic book look.
It's got
as
that
well,
troll look to him. You know what I mean? Yeah.
That comic book look is the tribute to the kind of Universal monsters as well. So I agree. That whole, so obviously once he busts out the cave, we get just this amazing fight sequence, which I thought was really well shot, really well choreographed, and it wasn't full of these stupid quick cut edits, which just shows you if you put a bit of time and effort, you could do it, and you could do it really, really well. I love the fights that Elsa had with the other hunters as well. I 100% agree with Cheeto. The modern looking guards, just they felt so out of place for the setting. Like they could have had like just people in like suits or kind of ceremonial robes for the event that happened to be guards as well. That would have kind of,
and even if they had the baton sticks too, like I didn't care, but like like if they had like the robes on and stuff like that or whatever. I mean, it just was it was so very. It's almost like the Tesseract lasers in Captain America.
Yeah, exactly that. Exactly that. It just felt like out of place kind of thing.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah, but the fight scene was just beautiful, and you get that whole hallway scene that's done in one take with the static cam, and everyone just gets ripped to shit, and you're just kind of left with Verusa, Elsa, and the wolf, and I forget what happens.
Well, he fights Verusa. I'm going to call it Veruca. if I sorry, if my birds are biting my wires, I can't afford them to.
No,
fucking take
that's
them to
fine. Yeah,
KFC.
tell them to fuck off, mate. Yeah.
Yeah, and so like they have their fight initially, with their back and forth, and eventually I forgot how she kills her. Elsa kills her. Do you remember?
Was it with the Bloodstone?
No.
No.
Was
I
it?
think she had an axe to the head or something like that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that
The,
was
oh
it.
yeah. The
Yeah.
axe across the throat and then
Axe
right in
across
the
the throat and then
Yeah,
right in the
yeah,
head.
yeah.
That's it. I keep thinking she got fried, but no, that was wrong.
Against the Bloodstone, obviously, and then I knew the fact that because she was sniffed on earlier that would be her saving grace. And the butler lived, Alfred, he survived,
British
Yeah.
butler always
stole
got
it. Clean up this mess, afterwards, which was pretty cool. So deal with okay, old man, get rid of all these fucking dead bodies. Yeah.
So is she staying there now and just inheriting the estate? Like, is that kind of what they're inferring?
Theoretically, I mean, considering she's the daughter of what's his face, Ulysses.
Yeah, I mean she's
If
the rightful heir to it. So yeah,
So
who's going to stop her?
but
Yeah,
how's she going to
that's what I'm
explain all those? How are you going to explain all those people being murdered? You know what I mean?
I mean, where does this
Well,
they say where-
Igor's going to clean up the bodies.
Igor.
I'm guessing. Yeah, she's like clean this mess up. So
do you want to jump into some of these comments before we move into?
yes, I was going to say earlier, but Gary kept fucking jumping ahead. So I was just like, okay, when we finish talking about the show, then we'll get to some of his stuff. So
Okay.
just go to the I'm annoyed the female villain comment, and then we'll work from there. So I'm annoyed the female villain died. She was amazing, very OTT horror villain. She was great, but it was right for her to
He
die.
served their purpose, yeah.
Yeah, if Marvel kills off its interesting
That's why
villains,
Gary said that. He loves to point out every time Marvel kills a villain.
Yeah, well, that's fine. They do. It's a different person. Okay. If you have Poe, I did would been great, but I hated the end. Great. Okay. Thanks for that. So then, like, obviously, we then get the kind of switching to color
I didn't
and
like that.
man thing. I didn't like that either. If I'm being honest, that
It threw me off it.
Yeah, I thought it should just stay in black and white. Different with a nice little thing with Elsa turning to color, but the rest of it turning to color. It didn't need to. And Man Thing being like a chatty like
Man Thing being Swamp Thing.
overly friendly thing, but yeah, it ended. But overall,
Disney ending, by the way, that was the Disney ending.
it was a very Disney ending, and leaves it open for more. And before we kind of discuss that, we could just go straight to the ratings, really.
I just want to say, I know that DC. I know. Boss
Yeah,
Man
he knows.
DC.
Yes,
Yeah, I'm aware.
Yeah. Okay, so Cheetah, what would you give this overall?
Besides my minor gripes to it, I think this was done very well. I feel like they invoked the feeling that they wanted, and I think that I got invested in it. So I'm going to give it an 8.
Okay, Zamo?
As I said earlier, it would be nice to flesh out the other characters and not make it solely focused from particular characters' point of view. Like, you got so many hunters and stuff like that. It would have been much better, in my opinion, if we had no idea who the final person was going to be, and we just had to guess it because everyone had a chance to shine. Unfortunately, they didn't. Overall, it was different. I like different. I'm all for different. And yeah, I'm going to give this a 7.
Okay, and I myself absolutely loved this. Again, I had just 2 like little gripes with it, but I just it's so good to see something different. It's a breath of fresh air, just like Andor is. Just a breath of fresh air to have something different. And so for me, this gets a 9 out of 10. Yeah, let's say that the 1 point is deducted for. I agree with Zam about the hunters and the kind of tweaking of Man Thing. It was a little bit irksome, but other than that, I give this a 9 out of 10. If I go to the comments, Phony Beetle Maniacs, Gary gives it an 8.
The
And
poll gives it a 50% is 8 out of 9 or 8 or 9. So
brilliant. Okay, fantastic. Yep, I think that's a well-deserved score. It is for me. I rank this up there as one of my favorite things the MCU has done easily, and I want to see more. But just like if you like, if they keep the monster stuff of Marvel strictly to Halloween, I think that's great. It doesn't need to. I personally, I don't feel I need to have 50 films of the monster universe. Just keep your Marvel, your specials, your Halloween specials for that universe, because then
yeah,
that way you've got plenty of time. You can turn it into series if you want to, or do one-off specials or whatever. But
but
yeah,
only
Cheeto.
do it once a year, and then it feels special. And then you can, like, as we've all, as we've talked about with Moon Knight and Werewolf by Night, is a part of the lore. Like you can have Moon Knight come in there maybe next year,
Yeah,
for whatever adventures they're having, but don't make it like just because it gets a great response does not mean we want a ton more of it. Like keep it special.
yeah. Keep it to Halloween. I think it's the right season. Even if it's like two specials within the month,
Yeah.
that's fine. Just keep it there. Don't give us films. Don't give us this. Just keep it there. Keep it TV 14 or R or whatever. And I think it works. Zam,
Yes.
I can't remember. Did I want you for anything? No. Sorry, painkillers.
No problem.
Foggy brain. But
Well,
all
what
right.
about?
So
Sorry.
what
Just
about
wondering what
Blade? Could you
Blade?
do a build up for that by doing monsters for him to
Blade,
fight?
That's a good
Blade
point,
was more
actually.
vampires. I mean, I know that's monsters, but still, I think I've always felt like Blade and the Marvel monsters have always been kind of separate. Like they're still in line, but I always felt like those were two different things. And I know
Yeah.
Dracula.
But yeah, I know Dracula was in this. It was like a thing on the wall, and that. But I'm hoping that's not the main fucking Dracula, because if they just killed off Dracula like that, that's just stupid. Unless it's again, the old rumor was that Blade was set in the 1920s, and then if he's killed Dracula back then and kind of Ulysses has taken the credit for it, then it's a nice little tie-in. I don't mind it if they did it that way. But
Well,
sorry, go on.
so some people were saying that this what happened here was a product of what Loki did in on his series, like because of the splitting of the universes and stuff like that. That this was created through Loki. Well, that's what some people are theorizing. You know, this is a product of that.
I mean, look, we're getting a bunch of characters that are showing up out of nowhere that haven't had like a build up, like with example, even like things like in She-Hulk and all this kind of stuff. And
Yeah.
it could very well be tied to Loki. And you as somebody who hasn't been involved in that the time thing that Loki was in wouldn't know the fucking difference if they just show
Mm.
up. You don't know how they got there, what they're just there. And so it's a sound theory, and it could be proven correct. We'll find out. Um, Now, this kind of brings me on to you can get rid of that comment there. This brings me on to so we're at an interesting impasse here, because obviously we've seen the huge positive feedback for this and for Andor and for the trailer for Secret Wars, okay, which are very much not like the current crop of MCU stuff, which is joke laden, light-hearted garbage. All right. And I am very much hoping that Disney sees this as a fucking wake-up call to kind of change course and maybe see that yes, there is room for the violent stuff. There is room for it's not even the violent stuff. Just a more serious tone and focus on telling a good story rather than chucking in a bunch of shit just for the sake of it. So, what are your guys' thoughts on that? Zam, I'll
Well,
go to you.
I agree. I think something like She-Hulk would have been appreciated more for its comical elements if we didn't have so much fucking comedy prior to that in every other aspect of the MCU. Like because it is a dedicated comedy show, the She-Hulk, and so
Yes, I agree.
it would have been much more funnier. But yeah, I'm liking it. What they need to do is keep it a mixed bag. There is elements for comedy, but we do want some of the serious stuff. We do want some of the R-rated stuff. I spoke to other people about saying that not everything needs to be R-rated, but how about some of it? You know what I mean? Like I want Punisher to be R-rated. I want Blade to be R-rated. I'm curious to see how they do Deadpool. And even what we watch now, Werewolf by Night. Would you say that's R-rated? Because I wouldn't.
No, it was
Yeah.
TV-14.
There you
Well,
go.
because it's black and white, then I mean, all the blood was,
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's no red.
So there you go. So kids theoretically, and I say kids, I mean people who are not 18 or under 18 can still watch it. Teenagers, So I want some stuff that they can't watch. That's why I want. I want that mixed bag. You have to mix it up, Disney. You got to go there. And I know you're all Mickey Mouse and shit like that, but don't die on that fucking hill. Like give us a variety. Variety is the spice of life.
Yeah, and when the bulk of the merchandising is being bought by your adults, you don't have to keep worrying about pandering to kids with everything. I'm not saying don't. I mean that like Miss Marvel was clearly for the younger audience. That's absolutely fine. Moon Girl and Dino Cunt that is coming out, which is beautiful looking animation. That's clearly geared towards kids. And if you get mad about that, then well, you're a nonce, really. But for the adults are the ones that are kind of being, I think, deprived of just something that doesn't make you feel like an idiot when you're watching it. And again, I know we're talking Werewolf by Night, but if you hearken to Andor, look how different that is in terms of tone, in terms of the dialogue, in terms of lack of fan service, which is great because they've murdered it in Star Wars. They've absolutely murdered fan service, and I think now you need to we need to break away into a more mature era of Marvel and a more mature, because even the kids that kind of joined us 10, 12 years ago at the beginning and grew up with it, they're grown up with it. They're all in their 20s. I know kids that loved it that are now just graduating from university and they've been there since Iron Man. And I always say your premise has to grow with your audience. And when you keep trying to stick with Guardians of the Galaxy instead of Winter Soldier, your fans are going to push back. And we have had a lot of pushback. And this, what Werewolf by Night showed you, is just like your fandom only really turns massively toxic when they're just getting tired of the same shit and the lame pandering that is actually patronizing rather than a good thing. But when you get something that everyone likes and likes all the fucking characters, it just shows you that that's all you need to do. Take your stuff serious. Stop trying to bring too much of real world elements into everything, and you'll get the right response. And now I hope, because sadly with really good things, they're not often backed with the viewership. So I'm hoping this, like Werewolf by Night, does good numbers to kind of justify them. Because Marvel could easily turn around and say, yeah, but She-Hulk's got more viewers, so we don't really have to change anything. It's the same thing with Hollywood, where they like this dumbed down piece of crap is making us hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars. So I don't need to make clever cinema. I just want the profits. So your guys' thoughts on that, Cheeto?
No, I agree. You're right, because actually one example of your audience growing up with you is Young Justice. I mean, Young Justice it started back in I think 2011.
Mm-hmm.
Huh?
Yeah, prime example right there.
Yeah, and so seasons 1 and season 2 was very teen oriented. Like they didn't go there, but they went really close and darker themes for a teen audience and stuff like that. Well, fast forward 7 to 8 years when it comes back for season 3, and you're getting blood and you're getting all these things where we didn't have that in the original 2 seasons, and it was okay because you know what, the characters were growing up. Robin was not 13 anymore. Robin was in his early 20s at that point. So you're dealing with, more adult themes at that point. They're not sidekicks anymore. That's kind of like Marvel. Like you need to kind of, like there are kids that are out there that, like you said, Ginger, that that were little when Iron Man came out in 2008 and when the first Avengers came out, and and stuff like that. But now we're getting into an era where a lot of these kids are grown up. Like, we're all getting to be old men, and now these kids are actually starting to be where we were back in 2008. And it's just like, you're right. Like, then Zam is also right that they need to prove a variety. Now, granted, I as the parent here, and I mean, I know Ginger, you're a very involved uncle, so it's just like, for me and my kids, it's like, am I going to let them watch Deadpool 3? No, not until they're older. Which my son's now 15, so actually he's kind of getting to that age where it's almost like, should I let him watch it? But that's on the parents. Disney should not have to parent our kids. They should be able to let us make the decision on whether or not we let our kids watch this stuff. But they should also make the variety for the fans. As I said, I'm not a hardcore violent person, but I agree. Punisher, Blade, Wolverine, all of these, Deadpool, they all need to be violent and very just
R-rated.
R-rated. They really need to be, because that's the character.
We're the ones paying the fucking Disney Plus subscription. I'm not paying it for my kids. Give me something for me, kind of thing. I'm not subscribed to Disney Plus, but I'm just saying, it's not the kids paying the bloody subscriptions. And if you could put things that, like, for example, with Hulu's stuff, like, Murder in the Building, for example.
Murder is in the Building.
Yeah, that, which is phenomenal. And I'm like, just, if you want, put your more adult-oriented stuff on fucking Hulu or whatever.
Yeah, but we don't have Hulu here. Like, all the Hulu.
No,
stuff
we don't. It's all on one. It's a Disney Plus. But even in Disney Plus, you sign up to Disney Plus, you get Hulu and all this kind of stuff in the States. But I'm just talking about, like, there's no reason why Marvel has to always fall into the kiddie category. Okay, there's no justification for it. Okay, Warner Brothers don't do that, and Warner Brothers are shit for the most part. But their cartoons have spanned every age group, and they've done it flawlessly. Even with Suicide Squad, Suicide Squad 2, they went straight up R with it. And then Peacemaker, they just went straight up R with it. Regardless of my thoughts, I respect that they did that. That they're like, screw it. We're not the kiddie company. We've got our family films like Black Adam and Shazam and all this kind of stuff. And Shazam, like, although Shazam himself, whatever, the kids in that are fantastic. Like, I thought they were all really good actors, and you kind of invested in their story as the kids. Well, the hero stuff was, well, take it or leave it kind of thing. But they have that good mix. They just need a solid direction. Whereas Marvel is just the same stuff constantly. And I feel now there has been a lot of pushback with Phase 4. And like I've said in the previous video, the panic buttons have kind of started ringing, and obviously Blade is in disarray now, because it's not just directors leaving and all that. That happens all the time. But the fact that the main star is pissed off and hated the script because it was joke laden and with minimal action tells you a lot. So I'm hoping,
God, yeah.
Blade was going to be a fucking disaster. So now I'm hoping.
I hope they delay it a year.
They're probably going to delay it. They're probably going to delay it. I hope
they do. They need to get this shit together, because they don't. I don't want them to just like ham fist something out with Ron Howard directing. And I'm joking about Ron Howard, but you know what I mean? Like, just throwing a cookie cutter director in there, and then it become, just a hot mess. Like, they need to delay it. They need to make sure it's good.
I agree. What does it say to you about their handling of black heroes as well? It will be like, the mentality then will just be like, we'll just race swap because it's easier, because there's this establishment and we don't have to work hard at it. Whereas Blade, it's like a fucking core black hero that needs to be, like, they did great with, like, Black Panther, and Wakanda Forever looks fantastic. Like, that trailer literally, like, it blows me away. And Blade,
just like the floppy wings and the guy in the
it's the wings stole the show for me. They stole the show.
Ankle wings.
But what does it say about you when you can't handle your diverse characters? Like, even Miss Marvel, they completely botched that up, and Blade, they were going to botch that up. It's insulting. So they need to get it right. And Mahershala Ali, who is a phenomenal actor, should take on a producer's role if he hasn't it already, because he knows what he likes and he does tend to pick good stuff. Um, so yeah, I want the guy who directed John Wick to do one. Well, he could. I wouldn't mind him doing Deadpool rather
Or
than the fucking
Punisher.
director they
I would
got,
love
or
him.
Punisher. Yeah, or
Yeah,
Punisher would be
Or-
definitely.
better.
Blade. I mean,
Or
the job's
Blade.
open.
Yeah, I know, but because he's John Wick, Punisher would be much better because of the guns and stuff like that. It would work. It would work with Punisher, the John Wick sort of action style.
Yeah, just get
the one
Blade a
takes.
crossbow instead of a gun. Come on, it'd be fine.
I want to see like an Isaiah Bradley series,
That would be
as
nice.
well, and really like play it for what it is, like lots of depth, racism, torture,
Yes. World
human
War II.
experimentations.
Yeah.
Well,
Set
I
in
don't
that
think
era.
Isaiah Bradley. I think he was in the 50s. It wasn't World War II.
Yeah. Well, set it in the 50s.
Korean War. Then that's
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah.
I mean, it
Get
was,
the Korean War in
know,
there. That'd be great.
but going up against Winter Soldier, all of these sort of things. Like really, like not don't pull any punches when it comes to, and something like an Isaiah Bradley series would really piss off the fandom menace lot. But that's what needs to be done. You know what I mean? Because because those motherfuckers would probably feel like they're being shitted on by showing something that is basically not exploiting, but showcasing racism of that particular period. And we all heard his story very briefly on Falcon and Winter Soldier, that how he was treated and stuff like that. It would be really good. Maybe he'd bump into the old Black Panther as well and all of that. I mean,
I would.
There's so much stuff you can get out of this.
I would love. I know prequels are not a thing, but I think with how big the scope is of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, I think you could do a prequel pretty well. Like you're right. Like you could have Isaiah Bradley. You could have like the T'Chaka, the previous Black Panther show up.
You could have Namor.
You could, yeah.
It would be T'Chaka. It would be T'Chaka's father.
Okay, I don't know what his name is. I'm sorry, but
it's just
Chimichanga.
Yeah,
Chimichanga's his father. But yeah, you could easily have a defenders type of film, but instead of Cap, it's like Isaiah Bradley and all this kind of stuff. I know Gary said about Del Toro. I don't want Del Toro. I'm not a big fan of his as a director. Blade 2 was great, and I know he directed that. But overall, his stuff just pisses me off.
He's no different to a lot of other directors who did good stuff, but recently have just become shit. So many of these directors are like that. Spielberg's like that.
I was going to say
Scott's
Spielberg
like
is
that. Soulless.
George Lucas. Yeah. Even Patsy, what's her face?
Patty Jenkins.
Patty Jenkins. Yeah.
Patsy Jenkins.
They all were really good directors at one point, and then they end up just doing shit. And they think that their shit don't stink.
Well, no, and I also think studios have kind of sucked the life out of these creative directors. I really feel like that's the case because now the studios are so involved, and Marvel was pretty good back in like phase 2 and phase 3, even some in phase 1, letting these directors kind of do their thing and making something cohesively good on its own. But I feel like
phase 4 absolutely stinks of studio interference.
And that's what I was going to say. But I think getting into phase 4 now, it's like I really do feel like that the studio interference is becoming distinct, more like almost Fox level with the X-Men level of studio interference, and that's kind of where it's like
which is why like the John Wick. Going back to John Wick, which is why the John Wick movies are so good, because they got a director who knew what he wanted to do, and you can see when you got. I mean, I've noticed that stunt coordinators, they tend to be really good fucking film directors when they sit in that director's chair, because they know how to do good fucking action scenes. And you see that in the John Wick movies, and and you can tell there's hardly any studio interference with those. With the way, maybe in the third one to a degree, but the first two definitely not. So,
the third one suffered from the hey, let's get a few characters in that we can maybe do a spin-off with, and they were like, oh fuck's sake.
Are you talking about Blade?
No,
John
Wick, which is something you really need to watch, by the way.
John Wick. I mean, but here's the thing. But now that John Wick has become like a big name, like, because I mean, it's like Deadpool. it's like the first one was so good because it's like they were just like, and as I said, I haven't seen John Wick. I'm using Deadpool as a reference here, but like the first one was so good because the studio's like, yeah, okay, here's $30 million. You do what you can, and you can do whatever you want. Deadpool 2 comes out. Obviously, the first Deadpool was a banger hit. Well, now there's studio interference in Deadpool 2 as well as
Well,
more
it cost him
money.
the director.
The
Because
what?
the original director ended up leaving, but it wasn't actually the studio interference. There wasn't a lot of it for Deadpool 2, believe it
Oh,
or not.
really?
It was Ryan Reynolds that shit the bed because the director was like, I don't want to do this, what you want to do, kind of thing. And Deadpool 2 suffered from being very, very generic
Yeah.
in its premise, and it
Yeah.
really pissed me off. Like,
But I
I
feel like
really enjoyed it when I first watched it, but on second and third viewing, I was just really fucked off. And what they did to Domino was unacceptable. Like, I don't mind if you have Zazie Beetz play Domino, but make her fucking pale. Make her albino with a black dot. Don't make her to fucking
When they did
Bath's
the other way around.
daughter. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
From Spaceballs.
yeah, but my thoughts on with John
And
Wick
Short.
is like now
Cable.
that it's a big like not franchise, but now that it's like a big franchise film, like are we going to see more studio interference? Because is the fourth one out or is it announced? I can't
It's
remember.
made. The
What's
fourth
that?
John Wick.
The fourth John Wick.
Oh, it's made. It's
It's
made.
made.
It's on its way out. Yeah.
Okay, so like we'll see how the fourth one goes because the first two were kind of like they were niche. Like I didn't hear
They
a
were
lot about them,
brilliant.
but I knew of them. The third one probably was still going.
No, I
third
love the
one's-
third one. I love the third
one's
one.
good. The third one's good.
Keep in mind, I haven't seen it. I'm just saying, like
Yeah, yeah,
popularity
yeah.
wise. Like third one, that's the one that oh, you got to watch the first two. Blah 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 blah. Third one was like, oh yeah, it was really really good. So it's like it'll just kind of if these things keep going, it'll be very interesting to see how they transform. Whether they'll
basically
keep
how
being
long
good.
Keanu Reeves.
Well, but no, I mean that's kind of the thing though, is that like you don't want too much studio interference, and yeah, Phase 4 reeks of studio interference. I mean, but except for Thor: Love and Thunder for some god awful reason, because they let Taika Waititi do whatever the hell he wanted, and we get another shit film.
Right. So
One
what
extreme to
happens?
the other.
Yeah. What happens then is you have the flip side. So when you rescue a character from oblivion and make him popular among the dumbed down masses like Zam, okay.
Oh, thank you.
The
Most of the population, by the way, but yeah, fair enough.
yeah, you're stupid. Like, no, I'm just kidding. Yeah, I'm not going to fucking chastise just because you liked it. We're in the minority here. But what I mean is, you make something, you recover a character that everyone loves, even though I find that the Russos actually redeemed Thor better because in the Infinity War Thor is the Thor I fucking wanted, which was perfect.
Oh yeah.
But the studio's like, hey, just give the guy range like they did with James Gunn, and they end up botching it big time because their ego gets out of control, and they're just like, yeah, just make it. So like Guardians 3 is coming out, and again, it's a personal story about Raccoon. It's like, fuck off, and you're gonna waste the High Evolutionary, which is
They're
gonna
really
be
going to
a
waste the High
crime.
Evolutionary.
They're gonna waste him, of course they are. Which,
And Adam Warlock.
Gary will then be very justified in coming back and saying they're fucking wasting all the good villains, and he'll be right. So it's you walk that fine line. You walk the fine line, But let's face it, when it comes to like Lawrence Schuler Donnerverse versions of fucking studio interference, I think Fox kind of tops the list along with Sony and Kennedy at Star
And
Wars.
Universal.
But Universal, they're just fucking useless. They have two franchises, dinosaurs and cars. Soon you'll get Cadillacs and dinosaurs from Universal Studios.
Isn't dinosaurs in that one too?
What's that?
Universal, isn't that Jurassic Park?
Yes, what I said. They've got dinosaurs and cars.
Oh,
that's their two
And
main
the Hulk.
franchises are dinosaurs and cars. And that. No, they don't have the Hulk.
Not anymore.
No, they're going to lose the distribution rights in 2025. It was only distribution rights they had, but they're going to lose that in 2025. That goes back to Disney, and that's when you'll get Planet Hulk. Yeah, they had a 15-year distribution right with Marvel Studios.
Jesus.
And that was back in 2008, and it runs out in 2025 or whatever year they did it. I can't remember exactly. So that's why you're now going to get a hastened Planet Hulk film, which is just not going to feel the same because they ruined it in Ragnarok.
Oh yeah, fuck Ragnarok.
Yeah, but
I mean,
yeah,
I know I'm in the minority. I like Thor: Love and Thunder better than Ragnarok for sure. I mean,
What?
yeah, I like
You
Thor:
like
Love
Thor:
and
Love
Thunder
and Thunder better than Ragnarok?
Hell yeah, because and honestly, it's not because of Thor. It's because of Jane Foster and Valkyrie. Like I honestly, if Thor would have died in the beginning of the movie or went off and fucked off and did his own thing with Korg and had butt babies or whatever they do, I would have been 100%. I would have been 100% happy if it was just about Jane and Valkyrie and the adventures of. I would even take the screaming goats over Thor and Korg in that movie. I would. I don't
Well,
care if
look,
it's.
well, but you mentioned about shooting interference, but Taika Waititi is in that bracket now of like all these other directors I mentioned who are very powerful directors who don't get studio interference, but then don't realize that what they're doing is really fucked up. Like
Well,
George
hopefully
Lucas
Disney
did
realizes what's going on because the same thing happened with
with the
James
prequels.
Gunn because Guardians 2 was a flop and critically and financially. And Thor, now the Thor Love and Thunder critically was not acclaimed, like was not good at all critically, and financially I think it did okay. I don't think
it did 760 million, but that's still a flop for Disney.
that's a flop for Marvel Disney right now.
Yeah, that's a flop for them.
Everything has to
When
be
they saw
a billion every
Ragnarok
time.
make like what was it 900 million, and then this makes less,
Yeah,
then it's just like, whoa, hang on a second, that's
and
not how this works.
I'm sure
But I
everyone's
think
going to be blaming, oh well, there's a female Thor in it, of course it's going to do worse. You know what, fuck you guys.
Yeah,
yeah,
fuck you.
but I think that's also to do with the fact that people are getting a bit burnt out, and like Phase 4 itself. I mean, that's the penultimate film for Phase 4 is Love and Thunder. So with all the shit stuff which has come out prior to
No,
that.
I don't agree with the burnout because No Way Home made bank and Doctor
Yeah, I
Strange 2
agree.
made bank.
And also,
You know,
Wakanda Forever looks
Doctor Strange
amazing.
Wakanda
And that's
Forever,
what makes,
people are fucking hyped for it. Tickets are already
I don't
selling.
I don't
So
believe it's burnout. I believe maybe they're burnt out on Taika Waititi and James Gunn bullshit. Is what I
they're
think
burnt out on jokes. They're burnt out on light-hearted jokes. That's what they're burnt out on. To be honest,
yeah, the surfer dude of the Marvel universe.
Well,
yeah,
that had a lot. That had the Guardians of the Galaxy in it and everything, and it still didn't deliver. I mean, it has
exactly.
so many characters. So
The Guardians are back to B list. Like they were A list when Guardians 1 came out, but once Guardians 2 came out, they
They got relegated really, really quickly.
Yeah,
And then
I mean, they
even
went
in
from
Infinity
B-list
War,
to A
because
to B.
yeah, even in Infinity War, where James Gunn had a say on those characters, you could tell he had a say because they were insufferable.
well, they killed off Gamora, and they basically made everyone die except for fucking God damn it, Ratchet. I
I
forgot
actually
his fucking
like
name.
that part.
Rocket.
The
Yeah,
part with
Rocket.
Gamora.
Ratchet. Sorry, Ratchet. What the fuck? Yeah,
Ratchet.
I know.
Fine.
Yeah, I didn't
Yeah,
mind
but
that either.
Gamora,
yeah.
Gamora, and her sister have carried the franchise
And they're very
of the
important to the
Guardians.
Infinity War
Nebula.
story.
Nebula, yeah,
Yeah,
even in Guardians 2, they were the best part of it. Their conflict
Yeah.
was the only part I actually liked in Guardians 2. So they've always done right by those characters, which is ironic because it's, again, I know I harken back to it, but it's two female characters done brilliantly well, and you want to see their story carry on. I don't want to see about fucking Rocket
even
Raccoon. I
in
don't give a
Endgame,
shit about Rocket Raccoon.
even in Endgame, Nebula's character was done well because he had
Yeah,
different versions of Nebula, and obviously,
yeah,
she
she was
changed
great.
a lot, killed her old self, all of
Yeah.
that. Yeah, it was
Whereas in
good.
Infinity War, everyone ended up just hating Star-Lord because he's a complete fucking idiot.
Yeah.
And that killed it for it. It was just like, you know what? Nobody wants to see this prick anymore. Get fucking rid of
Yeah.
him.
T'Challa
You
should have
know.
been Star-Lord, as we already seen in What If.
Oh, that was Ginger's favorite episode of What If.
Oh yeah. Oh, that made me want to watch all of What If. Jesus Christ. Fucking hell.
So, yeah.
But yeah, cool. Anyway, I think we'll wrap it up there, guys.
Yeah.
Nice chat. So yeah, Werewolf by Night, absolutely phenomenal. More of that, please, Marvel. And what have you guys got in the pipeline
Well,
for tomorrow?
tomorrow it is the episode 8 of Hot D, also known as House of the Dragon. I'll be doing that either by myself or with Jake. You never know if he'll be popping up or not. But yeah, that'll be on tomorrow. Then Tuesday is Quantum Leap, Wednesday Andor, Thursday Lower Decks, Friday the final episode of She-Hulk, Saturday Lord of the Rings, and who knows
Final
what we'll be
episode
doing
as well.
Oh yes, the final episode as well. And
Of Lord of the
we'll be
Rings.
doing- yeah,
Final episode of
Great, I
season
can
1.
binge it.
exactly. So join us all for that, but make sure you join me tomorrow for House of the Dragon, and we'll be doing a live stream on that to a similar time to what we got now. But yeah, keep an eye out for NerdTube. If you subscribe to us, you know when that shit's coming down.
And that is it. Let normality resume.